Hello and welcome everyone to the GPCA Podcast. I'm your host, Sara Soleja from Saudi Aramco and GPCA Youth Forum. I'm delighted to be joined by Adriano Alfani, the CEO of Versalis. Welcome, Adriano.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Adriano. So, with 2023 nearing its end, what is your summary of the year? What are some of the key highlights and challenges for the chemical industry in general and for Versalis in particular?
Sure. 2023 has been a very challenging year. After already 2022 that was not much easier than 2023. Also, according to the last data that CEFIC report, the production, for example, in Europe in the first 6 months of 2023 has been significantly lower than the same period of 2022. You know that Europe has experienced also with some energy price issue over the last 2 years, consequence or not consequence to the conflict Russia-Ukrainian. We have seen high interest rate, other geopolitical situations. So all of these things have done and contributed to make the 2023 not an easy year to manage. Despite that, as Versalis, we are very happy because although the scenario was not the most favorable one, we have been able to move on with the different actions and tasks that are part of our strategy. Let me use a couple of examples. We are fully committed to sustainability and circularity, and so we are accelerating some projects in terms of mechanical recycling, but also we have been able to start the construction of our first chemical recycling plant in Italy. And also another example, great example about biochemistry. We started 10 years ago different platform in terms of biochemistry. So chemistry based on vegetable oil, solid biomass. And we made a big progress over the last 10 years. But this year we have been able to accelerate the one acquisition, and we acquired in October. So we finished the acquisition in October of a big company, one of the market leader in terms of bioplastic, biodegradable or biocompostable plastic, Novamont. So despite a challenging year, we have been able to move on with our strategy. So we are particularly happy with that.
That's very impressive. So what do you expect to be different then in 2024? What are some of the key challenges that will be faced by the chemical producers, and how should they address them?
I mean, from a scenario point of view, if we listen also the opening session yesterday morning when we have heard a couple of colleagues, talking about what we expect in terms of scenario, what we expect in terms of rebound or not rebound of demand and so on. We think that the situation is going to normalize, okay? Also, listening what they say, normalizing in terms of interest rate, so in terms of cost of capital. We should expect some recovery in the demand. From a scenario point of view, the situation should normalize, okay? But although you never know, we expect anyway that the volatility in the market will remain pretty high, and so we should get ready, as always, of course, not only in 2024, in order to manage a very challenging situation. Of course, a very nice situation. We hope that we have more nice situation than challenging situation. But in this scenario, the industry has to continue to invest for sustainability, for circularity, for climate neutrality target that we have, for carbon neutrality. And so the challenge, but at the same time an opportunity, is to continue to move on and in some cases accelerate some of the projects that all the industry is managing in order to decarbonize. So it's an opportunity, of course, to work as one of the topics, right? That was a part of the forum or of the panel yesterday on how we can accelerate, how we can scale up, right? Some of this initiative. And the opportunity in front of us is to scale up is with much better let's say, the collaboration across the value chain, much better collaboration or stronger collaboration. Probably stronger is a better word to use than better. Stronger collaboration between policymaker and industry in order to move on. Keeping in mind that the big challenge that all of us have, the short-term result with the long-term view, right? The short-term result because most of the company have to provide dividend on a quarterly base, so return on the capital. But on the other side, when you invest on new technologies, there is a factor of risk. There is a factor of that new technologies are expensive at the beginning, and you need to look more long-term. So the secret is to manage the short-term with the long-term strategy.
Okay, so some challenges, but a lot of opportunities.
Of course, a lot of opportunities.
Okay. So building on your insights on the CEO keynote speeches, how can the industry scale up for the energy transition? And what can companies do individually and collectively to ensure the enable transition and be part of the transition?
Sure. I'm going back also to what I said before, right, in terms of how we can scale up. We strongly believe that the scale up can be addressed with much better collaboration. But collaboration means also to create the right framework for the industry to succeed. So, for example, what you ask, what we can do collectively, okay? And going back to circular processes, okay, of technologies. You cannot recycle plastic or you cannot recycle any polymer if you don't develop also the framework to recycle, right? Because you can develop a good technology, but then if you don't have the, let's call waste collection, but I prefer to call it plastic end of life, right? That you want to, or polymer end of life that you want to recycle. And then if you don't develop also a value chain down that can use this type of recycled polymer, I think that it doesn't work. So you can individually develop some technologies, but then from a collaborative point of view, you need to develop a good framework on this. And this is very challenging. Of course, it's also an opportunity, right? It's a challenge because every time that you have ambitious target is a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity because it's a great opportunity for all of us to design a better business model, much more sustainable and circular. So this is also a great opportunity. And chemical industries are to abate. So from a CO2 point of view, it's very carbon intensive, right? And so I think we have in front of us really from a collaboration point of view, great opportunity to succeed, to do a much stronger job. Yeah. To know use better.
Couldn't agree with you more. Collaboration is the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in your view, is the industry on track to meet the ambitious net zero target goals of 2050? What are some of the roadblocks and challenges along the way?
I mean, if we are on track, this is a great question. Okay. But I think with the difficult answer. Okay. Rather than to say if we are on track, I would prefer to answer that we can be faster, for sure. We can be faster. And we can be faster if we remove some potential bottleneck or some potential, let's say, the road stopper that we could have in front of us. I'm sorry if I repeat the point about the collaboration, right? But if we think that this industry can address by itself some of the main challenge in front of us, for sure can, but not at the speed that we want. And so we needed to really work across industries and across the value chain to really contribute each one with its piece of competencies and proprietary know-how and so on. And of course, if we also make a stronger alignment between, for example, policymaker or with the institution in the industry, in order to have a much stronger dialogue on what the industry can contribute, I think this will be very beneficial. Because we need to show that we are a solution provider, not a problem provider, okay? that is quite different. And the chemical industry, we always say that is a sort of a catalyst. Right? In all the reaction, you have a catalyst. In most of the reaction, you have a catalyst to accelerate the reaction, okay? And energy transition is a technological transition. So chemical industry can provide the catalyst in order to accelerate this technological transition.
So I think you addressed this very well with the dialogue and collaboration. But what are some of the other opportunities presented by the energy transition to petrochemical and chemical companies? And how can they capitalize on them?
Sure. I can use a couple of examples, right? And not that I'm in love, of course, I mean, it's part of my business, so I need to be in love with the circularity and with the biochemistry. So beside the jokes, of course, I'm in love with this industry. So it's 25 years in this industry. But let me use a couple of examples on what we can also capitalize on. Today, if we look on global plastic market, I think that only around 10% or less than 10% of the global plastic are recycled. So clearly investing and working all together on this, we have a big opportunity in front of us, and it's a big opportunity that we can capitalize as a return, right, as a business model. Another example is on biochemistry. If we look on biochemistry, for example, on bioplastic, is even less than 10%, probably even less than 5%. I don't know the latest data that all the different publication report. So also in that side, if we work in order to develop a market, of course you need to develop before the technology, then you need to develop all the value chain in terms of raw material, in terms of logistics and so on. We have a big opportunity that all of us can capitalize. And I can continue with many more examples, but I think these are the most interesting one that are also part of our strategies.
Very interesting examples for our listeners, for sure. So you touched upon this, but what is the role really of legislation and infrastructure to ensure the clean energy transition is smooth and accelerated?
I mean, the role, of course, of the institution is as well. Our role is to dialogue, is to speak each other, okay, and to explain on how the policymaker set the target, which we fully agree with the target to decarbonize. But we also need to explain on a daily basis, if not on our base, on how we can contribute to achieve this target and what could be the main obstacle to achieve that and how we can solve this problem together rather than to confront and say, okay, I say this, you do this, and so on, right? So with a real and open dialogue, with full transparency, with a joint effort to address with the timing that we want, because we want to decarbonize by 2050, and I think it is also extremely important that we set very clear milestone between now and 2050 in order to achieve to see our progress, because at the end, I mean, 2050 is not tomorrow, but it's not the day after tomorrow. So I think we needed to be extremely careful. In terms of infrastructure, I think it play a critical role, because if, for example, we look on mechanical recycling or chemical recycling, we can, I repeat myself, we can develop the technology, but if then we don't have the raw material, or if we don't have a good logistic to select the right plastics to recycle, and if we don't develop also the logistic in order to deliver the recycled plastic or the recycled polymer, or as well in terms of renewable feedstock or alternative feedstock for biochemistry, I think we are going to fail. We'll have a beautiful technology, but we cannot implement, or we cannot implement at the full speed and with its full capability. Might be more costly, because we might not have the return on the cost we want. And so this is the reason why infrastructure play also a critical role.
I couldn't agree with you more. You cannot understate the importance of dialogue and the role of infrastructure. Last but not least, this is your first time at the GPCA Forum. How have you found the event so far, and do you have any key takeaways?
Yeah, so far it's a great experience. I mean, I've been only one day also because I started yesterday. I think yesterday morning we had a great session at the beginning with, of course, presenting some scenario about how some expert of the industry see the practically what's going on. Our panel was also extremely interesting because when we talk about collaboration, to collaborate you need to talk. I've never seen a collaboration without discussion, right? Sharing ideas, sharing some potential view on what can be done differently. So it's been so far a great experience. I think well organized, so clearly look forward to.
Thank you so much, Adriano, for taking the time to speak to us. That was very insightful, and I hope everyone has a great experience at the GPC Annual Forum. Thank you.
And thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriano.